We've been looking at our 20 favourite board games of all time.
We've already covered numbers 20 to 11.
And now it's time for the top 10.
So we've already covered games 20 to 11 in a previous video, so have a watch of that if you haven't already seen it, because otherwise you might think there's some curious absences in our top 10 favourite games of all time. You know, some of the games probably I've mentioned should have been in this top 10, but I did it in a very impulsive manner.
Like Rebellion?
Rebellion should have been higher, yeah, I was wrong about that.
Yes, you were very wrong.
But I've been surprised by how many overlaps, but bear in mind we play the majority of our games together, either with others, but predominantly just us two.
It's funny because we have very different tastes, but obviously because we play together, you get to love similar games, and I then play and enjoy games that are more your kind of style a lot more than I would otherwise, and vice versa. So I think this top 10 is probably going to have more overlaps than perhaps the lower half.
Yeah, because I've mentioned in the past how you've made me more interested in heavier games. The longer we've been together, the heavier my taste in games has become. And obviously this, comparing it to last year was a lot, my taste has changed a lot in that year, I think more so than yours has.
But then some of that's to do with us being able to play more games and more exposure to different types and styles, and getting confidence as someone who hasn't played games for a long time to be able to open those bigger boxes or those more in-depth rules.
There's games
and
now
I can do this.
Yeah, games I would approach now that I wouldn't have ever approached before because I just would have been too intimidated by them. So with that in mind, should we have a look at what our favourite 10 games are?
I'm excited. Top 10. Yes. What's your number 10?
It's going to annoy you again. Probably not on par with Rebellion, but my 10th favourite game of all time, which is a lot. That's pretty high.
Is it?
Yedo. The reason I know this is going to annoy you is I'll be very surprised if this is in your top 3. I like Yedo. It's a decent, brilliant, fun worker placement. The theme is lovely. The board looks great. Don't get angry with me. I still like it lots.
I'm just going to save this for later, and I'll talk to you off camera.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to talk about this lots. When you talk about it, it's going to be in your top 3, and you have so many good things to say about it. I like Yedo. It's brilliant, but I don't like it as much as you do. So we shall talk about this in a minute. What have you got for the 10th best game of all time?
My number 10 is maybe one that won't be on your list. I think it is by Board and Dice, who also make Yedo. It is Teotihuacan, City of Gods.
Yeah, I never knew those based on the same people. Every day's a school day. I like Teotihuacan. It's a good one. Clearly, I like worker placement games. It's a great one. Not on my list.
I enjoy how in this one you've got your workers but they're dice, but instead of having to roll dice and have that chance and jeopardy and stuff, you're choosing which ones to upgrade, and then they get more powerful to be able to do more things, or eventually they get so powerful that they sort of reincarnate or something. That adds a really nice element to the game. I enjoy ones that have that kind of, like I like the Norse gods, I like this sort of thing. So having that sort of Central American history element of it, even if it's loose, you've got the nice Incan temple to build, and some of the symbology and stuff I find quite fun.
Yeah, it looks great on the table. I think a lot of these kind of themed games are less appealing to me than this one. I know you like Tzolk'in more than I do.
Yes, I do quite enjoy that.
But this, I would choose Teotihuacan over that. It just doesn't grab me as much as it does you. I think it looks great, and I love the pyramid. That's all fun. I've not got no complaints about it. If you said 2 player, I'll say sure. But it's just not my top.
Not one that you gravitate to.
Yeah.
No, I think it's quite fun.
A game I am gravitating towards, though, and increasingly gravitating towards, is a game called Tapestry, which has already been on your list.
Yes.
It was going to come back on mine. I really like it. The reason this isn't higher, and I suspect it's only going to get higher, is because we haven't played it enough for me to love it as much as I think it deserves. Yeah, I've made no secrets of the fact I really love Scythe, so that's going to be on my list. But this feels like a very different experience to Scythe. It's more relaxed, it's more chilled, and it's less confrontational. Not that Scythe ever needs to be confrontation. You can win without it being confrontation.
You have the choice.
But in this, that's not really an issue. You can take on each other's territories and things, but that's very slight. I just like the art style of it. I like just the notion of it. There's just that civilizations are growing, and I think each individual civilization you play as feels quite different to play, and each time you play it feels different. It's not tricky to understand. It's 3 pages of rules. So hopefully I can bring this to more people. But I've every time we played Tapestry, it's been a good time we played Tapestry.
I quite like when you place the little houses and you're like, oh, I've learned to write. Oh, I know banking now. Yeah, get me.
It's very abstract, when you talk about a civilization game, and you get to the point where it's like, I can get to space, but I don't know how to work a typewriter. But I love Tapestry, and I think I'm only going to enjoy it more. We've got 1 expansion. I want to get another one. We haven't even played the expansion we have yet, but I already know it's going to improve the game, and it's one I really want to get. So that's why it is a new entry in my list at number 9. But what about your number 9?
My number 9 is another Japanese themed game, and it's already been on your list. It is Iki.
It's a good one. That's why it's on my list. Lot lower than yours, shockingly.
Yeah, I was surprised by that. I didn't really know where to put it, to be honest. It was just one that I thought should be there, and I kind of was debating whereabouts. But
it's a great game.
I do enjoy it. I love the styling. The artwork's beautiful. I just like that idea that you're having a little shop in Japan. I mean, that's lovely, isn't it? And some of the shops are going to get set on fire, but, if you've...
They've kind of got it coming. They're selling tobacco.
Exactly. There's a lot of tobacco on sale. And yes, there's some fish as well. So there's probably some ice about, but it's not really helped them.
It's only inevitable there's going to be a fire when you're selling pipes.
I don't know if we're selling this game.
Okay, Iki is great. Everyone play
fun.
Iki. Yeah. It looks great, and it's different to a lot of the games we have on our shelf. So
it's a different style, and it's got that Zen feeling about it, I think.
I think a similar, like a comparison would have been, last year I had Tokaido on my list at number 12.
Okay, I prefer this to Tokaido. Spoiler warning, it's not on my top 20 this year.
Tokaido's not on my list anymore.
But it was last year.
It was quite high up last year as well. But just because, like I was saying, we played many more games, and this has a similar vibe to Tokaido, but has a lot more game going on there.
Tokaido was one that we were able to play in lockdown, online and things like that when we weren't living together. So I think just the amount of plays would have put that
I think that might
there.
have skewed it, in terms of the affection I feel for that. But yeah, I choose Iki over Tokaido every time now. So my number 8, I seem to irrationally love, because I know it's flawed, and I know Imperial Assault is better, but I just really like Stardcadia Quest. And I like how, you can sit down, play this in 60 minutes, and the way the boards can rotate, it feels like a different game. I think you get the similar vibes to Imperial Assault from playing this game.
It doesn't win me over because I don't engage in the theme and story as much in this. And sometimes I feel like the enemies are a bit samey, but I mean, so are stormtroopers.
Yeah.
So it's not that. I think it is just the theming that I don't engage with as much as you do.
The minis look great.
I'm winning, so
you're ahead of me in the campaign, and it's another one we haven't played enough to. I think once we reach the end of the campaign, that might influence my decision on whether it's on a future list. But right now, I'm very eager to play it again. I suspect once we finish the campaign, it may well sneak down the list. But for now, I want to play it again. I enjoy playing it, so that's why it's in my top 20.
Fair enough.
What about you? What's next for you?
My number 8 is a game that we've lent to a friend, so I don't have it here with me. Dune Imperium. I mean, it's got all those things that I love. It's got worker placement, you're building a deck as well. I engage with the theme as well. And I'm really looking forward to playing it with the expansion, which we don't have yet.
Yeah, because that varies up a bit.
And you can get to do some different bits and bobs in there, so that would be fun. But
I think Dune Imperium would be my 21. We're not doing honourable mentions, but I really like it. it gets overshadowed by another game we haven't yet mentioned that I love.
Yes, yeah.
So if it's ever a choice of which one should we play, I choose the other one. You know what it is. I like Dune Imperium, and I liked it a lot more since watching the film. It's one of those bizarre ones where we played the game first before we'd seen the film, and once we'd seen the film, a lot of it made sense.
Because the artwork's quite, like taken from the film images.
Yeah, it's really nicely done because it's similar to Villainous, so it's drawings of bits from the film, so it looks great, and it's a really clever game. I enjoy playing it. Yeah. It's just there's another game I like a lot more.
Yeah, well, I just think that other game is higher on my list because you haven't had it yet. But I still would play that over a lot of other games. Yeah. So I'm not in a position where I'm only putting one game of each type on my list because I'm just going in how much I like to play them.
I suspect Dune Imperium isn't on my list because it wasn't on our shelf. It could have been, because you've lent it to a friend. I just forgot. I forgot it existed. So maybe that's why it is not on my list. Next on my list, and not just because it is on the shelves and therefore I remembered what it was, it's a game I really love. We were talking earlier about Wingspan and how there's other games that are kind of vaguely similar to, tableau building, I suppose, with cards. The other game I was thinking of was Red Rising. I think it's brilliant. I played the game that this is kind of inspired by before and greatly prefer this. I think this is great.
We have read the books though, so I think the fact that you can connect the characters with the theme, with what they do and who they get special points for, or you get points deducted for because of their relationships within that story.
We certainly appreciate that more, and I think that it does elevate, like we were saying about Dune Imperium. Once you know the IP, it does elevate any game. We had played this before we'd finished the books though. Yes,
yeah, but because I think that I decided to get it for you because I thought that you might enjoy it. And then I thought, I'll see what this is all about, and started reading it. And then without telling you that you were going to get the books, I was like, you might like this book, start reading. And so by the time it came to gift giving, we were all both, quite a way through. So you had an understanding of what the characters, but not where they would develop to. So it's another one that's not on my list, but I do enjoy playing it. And it is, again, it's one of the ones that don't seem to make my list that are on your list are the sort of the quick, easy plays that I love playing, and we play a lot together. They just don't quite make the cut into the top 20.
And I think that's reflective of our kind of gaming position, really. I have gone from, do this list 2 years ago, it would have all been party games. So I am moving towards, eventually I might catch you up. But
you'd have been like Chameleon at your number one.
Number one is Obama Llama. It's the best game ever. But yeah, I think there's still echoes of lighter games in my list, which I'm not ashamed of.
No, but I mean, I have us all in mine. So.
Yeah, but yeah, Red Rising is a great, great game. Number 7, what do you have?
My number 7 is Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion.
I'm a bit shocked. I'm surprised by that. I thought that'd be higher.
Yeah. I mean, I do really love it. I've gone Jaws of the Lion because I have backed Frosthaven on Kickstarter. And so therefore, so far, I have resisted buying big Gloomhaven. I have several friends that have that, and I just thought, how much Gloomhaven, Frosthaven do I need in my life? I mean, at some point, I'm probably going to end up with it all. But at the moment, this is the one that we have to tinker with at home. Yeah,
I think you largely bought this knowing Frosthaven was coming. It's been delayed, obviously, and almost as a warm-up to Frosthaven, to get us into the mechanics so we could dive straight into Frosthaven.
Yeah, and we'd already sort of, know how to play and things like that make that.
But I'm really enjoying it, and it's a game where I'm keen to get back into it. We've played, I think, 7 or 8 of the missions so far. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think potentially it's slightly lower because we haven't managed to get it out that recently. There's been a bit of a gap, so we tend to sort of end up playing 3 or 4 missions together, and then I feel like I want to play something different, and then
I think I would just keep playing every night after night after night, kind of like a binge, like you would do a Netflix series or something. But I mean,
I can do that with some of my other games.
You know, I'm reserving talking too much about Gloomhaven because it is going to be coming up on my list.
Of course it is, yes. But I mean, yeah, we can talk about Hatchet then, can't we?
We can.
Okay.
So my number 6 is a game I can't hold up, but it's a game we've played a lot of. Any guesses?
Oh, I don't know.
It's another Stonemaier game. It's Viticulture.
Oh, yes. Okay.
We borrowed it from Joe. You know, it's strange that so much of our experiences recently have been tainted by lockdown and what we could play. You know, games that work well together. You know, I think that's why a lot of the larger multiplayer games that work really well, bigger groups aren't on our list because we just haven't played those recently. But we borrowed Viticulture from one of our local board game cafes and played it 3 or 4 times in quick succession.
I mean, it's about making wine. What's not to like, right?
But
drink wine and make wine in the game. Perfect.
It's a great one.
Is there some cheese somewhere?
Yeah, why is there not a cheese expansion for Viticulture? Wine and cheese. Anyway.
I do like a bit of port.
Viticulture's, you know, great. It's, you know, it's a fun worker placement. Obviously, we like the theme, and I think that it looks great on the table. You're not so keen on the art style for Viticulture.
No.
But I think it looks nice.
I really love the game. I love the mechanism. I love how easy it is to know, like, you are making wine, to know what you need to do next. You know, obviously you've got to plant the vines and then you've got to pull them up and then you've got to crush and bottle and sell and whatever. Like, so it makes sense in terms of what you have to do. I love that and all the mechanisms in it. But yeah, personally, if I was to sort of remake a game, not that I make any games, but if I would sort of tweak the art a little bit to be a bit more to my styling.
I like the art. I think it kind of captures a moment in time, and I like the kind of romance of it all.
It's the mamas and the papas.
or soon to be the papas and the papas and the mamas and the mamas.
Yes, which is a great change.
Yeah. But it's just a nice, fun, nice game that's nice. So yay for Viticulture, and I think we're going to get our own copy at some point.
Yes, yeah, I'm sure we will. And it hasn't actually made my list, but again, I really enjoy.
I wonder if when we do own it ourselves,
maybe.
rather than it'll be on your list.
Potentially, yeah.
No, I think. And interestingly, Viticulture came up from last year. Last year I had it at number 11, and I think we'd only played it a few times at that point. Okay. So we played it more since.
Yeah.
Then, and it's just. Yeah, it gels with us. I can play it quite easily.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's not made it onto the list, and
you're now regretting that.
No, I'm just thinking, you know, Wingspan ended up being at 15, but I sort of feel like I could interchange them.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah.
In terms of how I feel about the gameplay and enjoyment level and stuff like that, which kind of says that it should sort of be on there, but I didn't want to get rid of any of the others that were there. So
it would be it's in your top 20, or your top 20, top 30. It would be an honourable mention if we're doing those.
Well, I mean, I did write down some honourable mentions and it wasn't in that. But, well, I mean, it would be in my top 50 for sure. But, like, yeah, well, maybe 30s. But I haven't written them down. I can't say these things.
It's my number 6. So what is your number 6?
My number 6. I absolutely adore, and I don't know, it's going to be on your list.
What is it?
It's another Viking game.
Okay, I've just seen. Yeah.
It's Yggdrasil Chronicles, and I mean, the board is a massive tree, and it has the 3 layers, and you can sort of travel between the layers of it. You're playing the Norse gods, and you've got to defeat Loki and Hela. There's the dog that comes out all the time, and you've got to get him back in his cage, and have these sort of mythological creatures that help your weapons and different things. It has a campaign mode, but you can play it as a single one-off game, and it's sort of a co-op.
Mm-hmm. I think you know why it isn't on my list. I find it too hard. And I find it kind of almost a bit fiddly, and I think a lot of that's due to the rule book, with lots of symbolism on the board that we keep having. We play it a lot. We
leave gaps in between, and we forget what some of the symbols are, and then you have to go back to the rule book a lot. So I think if we were to play through the book in the campaign, like you would enjoy it a lot more.
Yeah.
But
I don't dislike it at all by any stretch of the imagination. It's just not a game I'd pick off the shelf to play.
Oh, and I'm like,
and you're very keen to play again.
Should we play the tree game? Trying to win him over.
I do enjoy playing it, and when we do get to the table, when you convince me that we should play it, I do enjoy it. It's just not a game I naturally feel, because I just feel it's going to be we're not going to win. And hard games are fine, but this just is very hard.
They're not all hard, just a couple of the campaigns have been tricky, and then there was a few that were super easy that we did first time, so you can't taint a game with just all of bad experiences of losing. It's just a sore loser.
Clearly, that's what it is. Rightio.
I love it, and I think the tree's amazing. The way it rotates and it holds cards, the way it holds the enemy meeples.
It's all very well done.
It's
and it's an impressive on the table.
It really does have table presence. Yeah, it would probably be in my top games for table presence.
Yeah,
for sure.
Certainly.
That, like Rebellion as well with the Death Star. But the tree in Yggdrasil.
Yeah, but we're not basing it on table presence. Maybe. It helps.
I'm just saying, if I was to.
Colt Express isn't on my list, and that's got a cardboard tray
and a DeLorean at the front.
A DeLorean. So my number 5 is a game we have already talked about. So let's whisk through this relatively quickly because it's obvious I like it. It's Gloomhaven. I suspect this time next year, this will be Frosthaven.
Yeah. I'm hoping it will arrive sort of maybe by the summer.
Yeah.
If we're lucky.
I'm really attached to my character in this, I think more so than you are. I love Hatchet. He's awesome.
Yeah, Hatchet, he chucks his axe and then it sort of comes back like a boomerang, does it?
Well, and then sometimes, I chuck it extra hard and it gets wedged in people and he won't do anything until I get my
you have to go
hammer
fetch
back.
It out of them.
It's, I'm really attached to him, and it's silly because he's just a bit of plastic. But I everyone says good things about Gloomhaven, and I think rightly so. It's so simple to play and so much in it.
I love the maps in the books where you can just open up and there's your board game.
Gloomhaven Draws a Line is brilliant, and it's a game I often say should we play it, and I think, much like you're saying, well, no, let's play Yggdrasil Chronicles instead. I want to play more Gloomhaven.
Yeah, no, I think we should get it to the table more often, and a lot of these ones that are sort of campaigny and things, it's about kind of thinking, right, well, if I get it out now, are we gonna play more than one to sort of make roads into it, and we need to do that. And I feel like with this one, once we've finished the campaign with these characters, I'm happy to pick another character and see what happens next time.
I think if you're more wedded to your character, you'd be more keen to play it. I think you're just kind of I hold the good one, and you got
you got first dibs.
So I got Hatchet.
Don't know how that happened.
He's awesome. He's called Luton Hatchet because he likes to loot them. Such a great character.
So cheesy.
So, Gloomhaven, that is my number 5, and obviously that's a new entry.
My number 5 is not going to surprise you at all.
Okay.
You've already mentioned it.
Okay.
It is the gorgeous Dwellings of Eldervale. This is arguably one of my most expensive games, I would suggest.
I think it was, yes. Only because you went for such an elaborate version of it.
Yeah, because,
I'm great. Pleased you did.
The monsters are amazing, and you've got 2 sets of each colouring of the elements. Individual player trays. You can have double-sided different tribes for each of the colours as well. It just keeps everything compact and neat. You can pull it out and play it really easily. I like that you're sort of exploring the world of Eldervale, but then you've also got the sort of combat, you're gathering cards. There's so many different elements of bits that you're sort of thinking about and doing, and that's what engages me into the game, I think. And I really adore how you put the little roofs on your little meeples and it makes them a dwelling. It's just adorable.
There's lots of there's so many clever elements in it, and there's so much goodness in this game. I mean, we've got the cooperative mode you've not even touched. There's lots of expansions in here.
Yeah, there's some expansions we haven't played either.
We've not even touched.
Yeah.
But I've said earlier how much I enjoy playing it.
Yeah, it's just a really great game, I think. And yeah, the theme's good, like it's great and it's colourful and it just really draws me in. So this one is my number 5.
My number 4 was my number 3, and that's only because a great game has gone in high
And just
knocked everything
down, right?
Everdell. We talked earlier about Everdell. I am surprised I enjoy it this much more than you. And I love. It's basically Sylvanian Families, the game.
Gosh, don't tell anyone they said that.
I like it. The cute little critters are lovely. It's charming. It's clever, and the tree looks great. You're saying about Yggdrasil Chronicles looking great on the table. The tree looks great on the table. I'm pleased we're getting a sturdier version because ours is wearing thin from the amount of time we played it.
But the tree in Yggdrasil is functional. It's the game board. It turns, it holds things, whereas this is, arguably it holds a harvest festival.
You can play without it though. When you've got Belfire, you don't need it.
It's about beauty.
And I think, I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing.
No, I enjoy the beauty of it, but...
Yeah, I think we would like a slightly deeper game, but I think once you have Spire Quest in it and the different components, you wouldn't want to ever play everything all at once. I think that'd be
surely that's overload. I'm sure I know some people have.
It would just be too much of a good thing. But I like the idea that you can slot different bits in and out and have a different game experience. But aesthetics aside, it's a great game. I love the balance of which one you're going to get now. Do you start building a village without getting the free ones, or do you get the free ones because there's someone really good on the table and you're going to regret it if you miss out on getting them? And the more bits that come, I think that we're going to enjoy playing it more and more. So I'm really looking forward to the Kickstarter. Grand, super, ultra, everything Everdell ever, big box extravaganza when that comes, because I know I'm going to really enjoy playing Everdell and it's going to give us a reason to play it more.
Yeah.
But, if you based this list just on the amount of times you played things, Everdell would be high up, because we play it a lot. So, yay for Everdell.
Yeah, people like to play it at games club and things as well. So, and they're always requesting that it comes back.
Yep, we took it and someone said, "Can you bring it again?"
And then can we play it with the expansion? And then someone else is like, "Oh, I wanted to play that." So, I can see it being played quite a bit.
So that's why it is my number 4.
Number 4. My number 4, much higher than you put it.
Right, yes. I have admitted that was probably a silly move.
It was a silly move. It is Rebellion. If you watch the channel, you know that we play it as a traditional Boxing Day, but we do play it throughout the year as well. And as we mentioned earlier, I just love how immersive into the theme of those original trilogies, and then Rogue One with the expansion, the storytelling of who you're sending out to do different missions. And last time I did do a lot of blowing up with the Death Star.
So close to destroying my Rebel base.
So it's always sort of a turn in it as to who wins.
I think that's
super tight between us. So
apart
from that one time that I blew up your Rebel base.
I stuck it on Naboo. And you're like, well, let's get rid of all the Gungans. Let's just blow them up because we've got a Death Star. Bye bye Jar Jar Binks. And I was like, yeah, bye bye Rebel base. You've won. Like we said earlier, it's just memories like that. I think that's a good barometer of how good a game is.
Yeah, it always leaves us smiling. We always want to play it more. It's literally the length of game that's the only thing sort of restrictive in terms of how often we play it, because it needs to be, we have to have the whole evening free rather than just sort of pop it in after having got back after doing something else or whatever.
Yeah, it's not a game we need to devote some time to it. So it's not like, children in bed, let's play a game. It needs to be, we're playing this, nothing, hopefully the world won't collapse outside, but if it does, we're still playing this, we're focused on this. And
it's not really a weeknight after work sort of game. I think it's
and I think that's the only reason we haven't played it
more
a lot.
And we have played it quite a lot, really, actually. So and I just, the artwork, the theme, the immersion, it really wins me over in terms of that. So I love this one, and it is my number 4.
So into the top 3 now, and I'm going for an entire series, which is technically cheating.
That is cheating, isn't it?
Pandemic. If I had to pick a game, if we're saying specifically which game, it would be Pandemic Legacy Season 1.
Okay.
Only because we haven't played Season 0 yet.
No.
Pandemic just the kind of series is so clever and so exciting that I love playing it. And obviously the theme now has made it a slightly bitter game, because before, when I first played it, the idea that you'd be battling these pandemics around the world seems so ridiculous and abstract. And now obviously that cuts deep.
Yeah,
and
a
I
lot
can
of people
see
feel like, oh gosh, isn't that in bad
it's
taste
in poor
to
taste.
play that one and things like that. But essentially, it's about game mechanics. It's about how a game plays. So, obviously you'd be careful who you played it with or who you suggested it with.
I remember someone was really horrified when I suggested playing Pandemic. They just thought that was a ridiculous, sick idea. And it's like, this is a great game. I mean, the best board game experiences I've had were playing the Pandemic Legacy games. I mean, there's certain points in season 1, less so in season 2, which I didn't think was as strong, but certainly in season 1, where it's just like, that's just changed everything. And that's just, there's moments where it's like, how on earth have we let this happen? And it just turned completely on 180. It's like, we were doing so well, and that one thing has mucked everything up, and that made it exciting.
Yeah.
And I'm very precious of our board games. We sleeve things, and I like keeping things pristine. When you finish Pandemic Legacy, you just meant to bin it, and I couldn't do that. I kept it from the group that I played it with. I said, can I just have the box? Can I keep those cards, even if they're torn up, just so I can remember what it felt like to play it? And that, what a great advert for a game that is.
Yeah, tearing up cards. Eek.
Yeah, you just got to get over it. I couldn't do it. It's like, let's just put a line on it. Let's put a faint pencil line in the corner so we know it's... you just have to embrace it. And, you get 24, potentially, at least 12 games, solid, exciting games in those boxes. And I think that makes it worth the money, even if you never play again. Pandemic season, Legacy season 1 is brilliant. And Pandemic games as a whole are great. So... these were high on my list. Last year it was number 2. This year it's number 3, but that still means it's my third.
So you cheated last year and put a whole
I was specific last year. I put season 1 last year, and I'll keep with that. And season 1 again here if I need to. But my third favourite game of all time, which is that's pretty good. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is, I think, going to be higher on your list. My number 3 is Scythe.
Yeah, the fact I haven't mentioned it, it's going to be high.
I know it's going to be there. It's just I don't know. I think
we can probably predict each other's top games now, just in which order.
Yeah, we can, for sure. I really enjoy this game, and I like it as a 2. And we've played it up to 7 players.
6 players, yeah.
No, I've also played it at 7. And it plays differently at the player counts, but I love it just the same. So it has that to play 7 you have to have the expansion Invaders from Afar, just in case.
Well, we've got all the expansions for it. We've
done the campaign, which was amazing. Yeah.
And what's really good about the campaign is we take elements of that, because we obviously play it 2-player a lot. We take elements of that campaign and just inject it into the 1-player game, which just spices it up a bit. I'll be very excited about it in a few minutes' time.
Yeah, I love the asymmetry of the different factions and things, and when you're playing it as a 2, you don't have to particularly be very fighty. It gives it a completely different game style, whereas when there's a lot more of you on the board, you don't really have much of a choice but to go out and get the fisticuffs going. And that variability in player style for different numbers, for different factions and things, for what colour play you choose, but also what board you end up with, just means that each game has that bit of variability and something different happening, which and I do really love the art style in this. Like some of the games we said before, it's sort of that kind of older styling, like
Viticulture.
Like Viticulture.
So you said it fits. You seem to think it fits this better.
Yeah, I feel like this fits the theme.
Well, what I love about
not that it doesn't fit the theme in Viticulture. I just really like. This looks fantastic.
I think what's clever is that it looks of its time. I mean, you could flick through, the art of this game and go, if you didn't know better, which means you're terribly ignorant. But did that actually happen in the 30s? Is that a real conflict? Because it seems so fitting, and it's so, you've got mechs going on. Obviously, it's not real, but it just seems like a moment in time in this weird parallel universe.
But it's that immersion, isn't it? That I think that the artwork helps to draw you into.
I mean, the event cards are all different, and it just paints a story. And when we play it, we have to describe the picture and say, what's going on. I just found
add some little nuance to it. So yeah, I think this is a fantastic game.
I'll take it for now because it's going to be on my list, isn't it?
Yeah.
What is my number 2, though? I'm not bringing Scythe back out because it is Lost Ruins of Arnak. Obviously, a new entry.
Yes.
Such a good game.
A brilliant game.
Such a fantastic, fantastic game. We got it relatively after the hype, but still, while it's still bubbling away. A friend of ours got it for us as a moving in present. We moved into our house. And
we'd been playing it online at that point because we just
he suggested
loved
it
the idea
online.
of it. Yeah.
And this, you don't stop playing this.
I think since we started playing it online, and then obviously we were gifted it as we moved in, I think I've always had a game open and playing on BGA since then.
Yeah,
and then obviously we play it.
I think we play it probably
all the time anyway.
We probably play it every 3 weeks, and considering how many games we've got, we play a lot of games. We play a game roughly every other day, I think.
Yeah.
We keep coming back to Lost Ruins of Arnak, and I think we would play it a lot more if we just didn't stop ourselves from playing it, because we've got all these games, we just always keep playing Arnak, and there's a reason for that. It's just so clever. There's so many different ways you can approach it. Are you going to do Guardians? Are you going to go up the track? Are you just going to focus on getting the artifacts and the items? It looks great.
It really does.
I love the setting of it. I love the theme. I've always loved those, those adventure movies, Indiana Jones. I've loved, video games. Some of my favourite video games are like Tomb Raider and the Uncharted games. And you see that in this. And that just makes it even more appealing to me. It's just such a wonderful game, and I can't say enough good things about it.
So,
if we're scoring games out of 10, on BGG, it's a 10. It's a 10 for me. And I hope you're going to need this now.
I am going to need this.
Are you going to literally right now?
So my number 2. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the expedition leaders and things. Just that we've got more recently, and it just adds that bit of asymmetry to the game and variability. Like some of the tracks, you put either an artifact or a guardian on there.
That's so clever, because suddenly then you've got a game that's limited by the number of guardian or artifacts cards, and there's loads of those.
Yeah, and it's going to be so different each time.
Such a genius idea.
And again, I think for me, what makes a game great, not just in terms of the mechanics and the gameplay, is about the artwork, the immersion in the theme and stuff. And I think they did it really well here. And this ticks all of the boxes that I sort of like look for. It's, you've got a worker placement, you've got the deck building element, you've got great theming, you've got great components. I mean, we have upgraded some of those.
Oh, we have the most ridiculous.
You don't really need to. But,
we've got such a pimped out version of Lost Ruins of Arnak now. People cover our version and say, can you bring it? I've got the game. So when we go to board game, can you bring your version? Because it's got the compasses and the coins, and even now a first player marker.
Yeah.
Because, you need it.
But I just think that this is fantastic. I mean, well done, CGE.
Yeah, I've never been more excited about an expansion. I've not been playing board games for particularly long compared to so many others, but this was an expansion. I was just like, we need to get that as soon as we can, just because it's going to add more to Arnak, which already is fantastic.
Yeah, and like I've just talked about Scythe and how I love the asymmetry in the characters and stuff like that, and I think that this brings that level into this game, which is what makes it just pipped up that bit further to
it's given us a new thing to explore. We don't know quite how best to use the characters yet, and that's going to give us even more to play with. Silly thing is, I'm already looking forward to yet another expansion, just because I know we can then keep playing it, and I don't think we're going to get bored of it, but it's just like, more of that, more.
I mean, we've been saying about doing the search for Professor.
Yeah, so the free print and play campaign looks fun. We're going to do that together just to add some narrative to it, because why not have more Arnak in our lives? So yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we love this game. I think it is fantastic.
Yeah, every time we talk about it on one of these videos, I'm like, can we just play it after we finish filming? So that's your number 2.
It is, yep. And yours.
And my number 2. There we go.
Straight crossover, first one.
I think, there's been some overlaps, but this is the only time it's both landed.
Both on the same number, yeah.
So my number 1, I think you know what it is.
There's only one game left.
We know it's inevitable. So let's not draw it out anymore. It's the same as it was last year.
No change.
Yeah, Scythe. Scythe is wonderful. Like Arnak, we've been talking about it now. I want to play it again. It's for us. We know this game now. It's a complicated game, but we know it, which means we can get it out relatively quickly, play a game, and it not take as long as it perhaps suggests on the box. But I have enjoyed playing this game phenomenally every time I play it. It'll be another 10 on BGG for me.
It's another one that we've ended up getting all the realistic resources, the extra encounter cards, all the extra bits and bobs that you can get, the coins, etc. And I don't know how much that adds to whether that a game. I mean, you get those things because you love a game, and it is one of your favourites, so you think it's worth spending the extra money on it. But then also having those extra things makes you love it more. I think it's in a way, so it's kind of. It rounds itself out, that it keeps it up the top. Yeah,
I every time I play this has felt different as well. I'm not a chess player, obviously, but I start thinking about strategies for this, and I've got my favourite factions I like playing.
I just wing it.
And we were talking about earlier how you often just plan a lot of moves ahead. I try and do that with Scythe.
I don't do that as much as you think. I just wing it, and it just happens to be all right.
But so if they released, like we were just saying about Arnak, if they released anything else Scythe, I'd be ordering it as soon as it was announced. I can't get enough of this game, and if the world suddenly vanished and I only left my top 3 games, I would be happy for a long time, because I just want to keep playing it. And I think, you can see why people get excited about Scythe, and I think rightly so. It's a phenomenal game, and I just hope, given time, I love Tapestry as much as that, because then how wonderful will that be to have both Tapestry and Scythe to enjoy.
Can you imagine Tapestry ever coming above Scythe?
I don't know. There's a possibility. I don't think so, because I love Scythe so much. I enjoy playing it so much, but we've only played a handful of times, played Tapestry. So maybe once we played it, the volume of times we played this, then perhaps it'll come close. But for now, my favourite game of all time.
So,
what is your favourite game of all time? I can probably already guess.
Mine is no surprise. It is Yedo. So I was introduced to this game in 2012 when the original version came out, and it was instantly one of my favourite things ever. I think it's the game that made me really get into board gaming proper. I've loved playing games for a long time, but in terms of sort of exploring more games, getting more games of my own, I played with one of my closest friends who also really loves gaming, and she was able to go to a game club that was near her, whereas I didn't find one close to me at the time. So I would go to her and we would play this game, and it is just fantastic. Like, again, the artwork, the theme, the components and things there. You're in charge of this clan of Japanese warriors, and you're just going out and doing these missions of murder and intrigue and espionage and
blowing stuff up.
Yeah, and
eventually killing the shogun if you're doing it well.
Yeah, and you've got to be in different places in the town in order to complete the different missions. You've got to have a certain type of weapons and collect all these things that you need to complete them, and then to be able to complete the missions. And I just think it is fantastic. I think it's underrated. In the moment I heard they were doing the Kickstarter to do this deluxe version that I have, I was straight on it, and because it's not one that you can get hold of very easily, unfortunately. But yeah, I just love everything about it.
Well, I knew putting it at 10 would be contentious for you, but it was at 13 last year.
Okay,
so it is going up. It is going up,
bit.
and the more time I play it, the more I like it.
Okay, so for next year, if it's not in the top 5, we're going into some trouble.
Yeah, we're aiming for it to be in there. But it looks great on the table. And we were talking earlier about exciting moments in board gaming. I remember first time, everything aligned and I got to kill the Shogun, and how exciting that was. And it was just so tense going, there's so many variables here that you need to get all your ducks in a line. If you had taken just one weapon I needed, or been to one spot I needed to go to, it would have fallen apart. You would have won the game, because I wouldn't have been able to recover from that.
No.
And that just felt so wonderful, so glorious to have it done, to end the game and to win that way. Was so exciting. And that's what makes these kind of games, board gaming as a whole, just a fun thing to do, to experience that.
And this game is why I'm always looking at what Board and Dice are up to, because I think this is not their most famous game, but for me it is the epitome of how to make something amazing. And I think obviously a lot of people rate them for the tea games, one of which I discussed earlier, but they just maybe look at the rest of their catalogue, because this is fantastic.
Shockingly low in the list, really, on the Board Game Geek.
Oh, it's like 1,000 and something on a Board Game Geek.
It's ridiculous.
Ratings.
It's like people don't know about it. I think if our wonderful house caught fire, I think you'd be running towards this one, grabbing it off the shelves.
Totally.
Here we go, Yedo, in the flaming inferno of our house. But probably worth running into a fire to save, because you can't get this lovely version as easily.
It's not so easy to get, no. But yeah, I think this is fantastic. I love the theme of Japan and the sort of samurais and that sort of element. You've got some geisha in there as well.
It's a worthy top game for you.
So that's our top 20 games.
That was 20 down to 1. I'm not surprised by your top. There's some rogue elements in there. I'm not surprised by your top 3 either. No. The bottom half of the games is where we differed more, I think, and where I was surprised at a couple of the entries. Yeah. I think there's a few in there, that I did do the list perhaps more impulsively than you did. There's a few rogue elements. I think the order of some of my games wasn't quite right, as we talked about, but I'm pleased with my list. And and it's nice how much overlap there is for us, because it just shows how symmetrical we are as gamers, yet we've got our own taste, clearly. Yeah, and I think that because we play so many together, as we said at the beginning, it was always going to be a bit of a crossover in some things, but obviously this is our taste though. Yes, and the fact that we've each got different games in our top 20, despite the fact we play so many games together, shows that people will just have different opinions, and that's fine. Yeah, and obviously, your taste is going to be different, so feel free to say what we've missed out, or what we should play. It could be a case of we just haven't played it and that's why it's on our list. Yeah. So comment down below if you've discovered us completely by accident and you've enjoyed this long rambly video. Subscribe, that's always great. Like and show
the bell for the alerts.
The wonderful bell of mystery.
Or send us a message of what your favourite games are.
We always try and communicate with people. We always try and reply to comments, because we are obviously a small channel, but with aspirations of greatness perhaps. And
well, we just like to meet new people in the gaming world who have similar things in common and chat.
It's fun to discuss.
Part of this big community.
But with that in mind, thank you so much for watching.